Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review, sort of rapid reviews on these two knives. This is the Kansept knives Reverie and the Kaiser Cormorant White Mountain Knives exclusive with my Carta and 3V. This is the version 2 Cormorant. So let's get into it. We can start out with the Cormorant because that's the one I have the most sort of, I don't know, stuff I want to talk about on. I did reverse the clip to left-handed, so it is a reversible clip. You're talking about this sort of brown canvas micarta, and you're talking about 3V steel. Right there, you can see 3V Kaiser logo. Excellent hollow grind. And there's the Cormorant over on this side. They took that off the clip, which is awesome. It is a button lock with a flipper for deployment, a front flipper for deployment, a reverse flick hole for deployment, and a thumb flick hole for deployment, as well as a slow roll, and of course, your button lock. So you have like 9 freaking ways to deploy this knife, which is cool. This knife has a major flaw that basically renders it useless for me as a left-handed person. I don't know if that's going to happen to all lefties, but it happens to me, so we will talk about that. Aesthetically, this knife is fugly. It has grown on me a lot since I first got it. It's got a sort of interesting look. I hate the X's. I don't know why anybody decided to put X's on a knife like they're playing tic-tac-toe. Just wish they were gone. Like, if there just weren't any X's, it was just plain micarta, I think it would look better. I do wish the mohawk was sort of chopped off. Like, if it was straight across here, this knife would look a lot better too. Obviously, you'd have issues with the hole, but maybe make it half the size. I don't know. I just think it's ugly the way it is, but it kind of grew on me too at the same time. Has a hollow grind. Very nice belt satin finish from Kaiser. I gotta give them credit. It's probably the best one I've seen from them. I don't have a ton of experience with Kaisers, but there you go. When it's closed, it's also fugly as hell. So there's that. It does have the double flipper thing going on, like the Nimble and some other knives these days are coming out with that, like Brass Brigade's knife, the... Oh, shit. What is that thing? The gripper. Duh. Okay. So that's aesthetics. Ergonomics. When you look at it, you're like, oh my God, that's going to be brutal. It's not. You can hold it back here if you want and kind of land up on the hawk. I call it a mohawk, whatever. Kind of land up on the mohawk. It actually has jimping on it, so I guess it is meant for that. But you have this flat sort of choiled thing right here. Boom. I mean, for me, I get one finger there, and then I kind of just wrap the rest around, and you can climb up into this. I mean, you can call it a poon spoon. We call it a hawk spoon, mohawk spoon, whatever. Or you can climb back here, whatever you want to do. You can get good control with this and climb up and do whatever you need to, right? I think it's excellent. Let me see if I put, not to just have a shameless plug, but I wonder if I put that on the table, will it help with the lighting? Yes. Okay. So, yeah, ergos are pretty good. I mean, I like it. I enjoyed it. So, no issues there. Really, ergonomics in terms of deployment, it's pretty smooth. You can get a good grip as you're deploying. You're not in some awkward position other than one that we'll talk about at some point. So there's that. Ergos are good, I think. Cutting and carry. So I think the cutting was excellent. I think adding this hollow grind, I believe the first version had a flat grind. So I believe adding this hollow grind really helped them out. It thinned that out really nicely because the grind starts pretty low. So having a hollow really helps compared to having a flat grind, right? This is a hollow grind, right? For a second now, I'm like, wait, that's not a hollow. For sure it is. It's not very deep, but I'm pretty sure it is a hollow grind. Yes, it is. Okay, sorry. I enjoyed the cutting with this. I didn't do extensive cutting because I kind of decided early on I was going to give this away. This will be part of my 3K giveaway. I passed that, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't gotten around to the video yet. I'm waiting on some things to come in. So this will be part of that. I also have a quiet carry and an Asher coming and a Finch. So we got 4 knives at least in that so far. Anyway, I did cut with it some before I decided that, and I thought it cut really well. It's got a good thin edge. It's sticky. It's got a good tip. For the shipping labels, it did a good job because that tip does come down pretty low for me to do that. It's kind of a clip point looking thing, but it also is sheep's footy, so it has the... I think it's a sheep's foot, right? I don't know. Anyway, it cut labels well, in my opinion. For what I needed, it did a great job. What else? What else? That's cutting. Oh, carry. So here's the thing. It's lightweight. It tucks pretty well, right? If you look at it. It's reversible. All good things. Kaiser clip. And normally I don't have issues with this clip, but I did find with this specific knife coming out of my pocket, it would catch down at this part, and I'd have to kind of grab and yank it out. Not like crazy, but I had to kind of give it a little extra effort to get it out. It would catch down in this area. Now, I don't know if that was just on the pants I was wearing that day or whatever, but they're just jeans and they're normal thickness and all that stuff. So, should have been fine, but I just want to mention that it did kind of annoy me a couple times. So, I mean, you could probably bend it a little bit. It does seem a little bit tight. I can't even lift it. So, yeah, I just want to mention that. So that's cutting and carry sounds. I mean, really for a micarta knife, like almost full micarta, I mean, yeah, there's barely any liners in there, right? Are there? Let's take a look. Yeah, so you have a liner sort of down the center on each side. But other than that, for it to be skeletonized as well, and to be micarta, for it to have really good acoustics like that is impressive, in my opinion. That drop is awesome. And sometimes on the deployment, you get sort of a ting as well. Yeah. Well, can't get it to do it, but sometimes you get a ting as well. So I'd say the sounds are excellent on this knife. Like 8 or 9 out of 10 for me. I could listen to this all day. You know? Action. Okay. So this is where we get into the weeds a little bit. Back flipper, kind of over the top Vero sort of style. Got some jimping on there for you. Works great. I think it works great. Can I fail it? Sure. But I'm trying, right? I'm trying. I'm rolling it, whatever. But just the way these flippers are set up, you barely need a detent to even flick it out. So that works great. Front flipper. You have jimping that sort of goes up and around, but it's really squared. It works pretty well, though. I don't enjoy it that much. I get caught sometimes like this. Like I get caught on the micarta or something. I just feel like there wasn't enough clearance for me. But I think most people would probably get used to it and be able to do this all day, right? So that's fine. Thumb flick. Thumb flick is awesome. Really is. Thumb roll. Great. You can roll that out. Button lock. Awesome, right? So, reverse flick. And this is where the rub comes in. Right-handed, bang. She bangs. Well, hold on. She bangs out. She's pretty good, right? Now, the detent on this knife is light. Like, I gotta say, it's light. You know, you can feel it right there. You see that? But on the reverse flick right-handed, you give it really anything, and it's probably going to lock up. Especially if you're, like, you know, not doing it vertically. You're doing it at your side or whatever. It's going to work. Left-handed is the problem here. And I figured it out, finally. After dicking around with this knife and being like, what is the problem with this knife, right? It's this finger. So when I go to do a reverse flick, I obviously put my fingers out like this. I cup the knife or whatever. Thumb goes across, middle finger goes in, and then I shoot it out. It just sounded wrong. Middle finger in, and I flick the knife out. Well, this finger is on the button. The button protrudes, I guess, too much, or it's just too small of a knife that I'm putting even the tiniest bit of pressure on that button is going to render that detent just absolutely useless. Because if you look at it without touching the button, if I show you this click in, it's pretty good. Look at that. Like, it's got a good click, but I'm on the button there just slightly. Like, I'm barely putting pressure down, but it's just causing it to do that, to seize up. Not seize up, to loosen up. So, I just think left-handed, it just doesn't, the reverse flick is just, it's shit unless you climb to the top of this hole and go straight up. Then it doesn't matter where you're putting any pressure because you're just going to shoot it up. But it's just not a satisfying flick, you know? So to me, that's why I just wouldn't want this knife in general. But I do like it. If you're right-handed, I think this knife is actually really cool. I could recommend this knife to right-handed people for sure. And I could recommend it to lefties who just don't care about reverse flicking as much as me. Like if they just throw it in every once in a while or never do it. If they're more of a thumb flicker, the thumb flick is excellent on this. And as a button lock, I actually really like having the button over here as a lefty. I prefer it over here. I think it'd be weird to have a button like right here or whatever. I don't know. I've just gotten used to it, I guess, and I like it. So the action is awesome on this thing. Detent definitely could be stronger, but right-handed, it's great. So that's the Kizer Cormorant. I think it's a cool knife, but just doesn't work for me as a lefty personally, and I'm going to be giving it away. So thank you to White Mountain Knives. They actually donated this to that giveaway, so I really appreciate that. Go check out White Mountain Knives, guys. That's where I got both of these knives, actually. We're about to pull the review, or do the review now on the Reverie. And they actually sent me both of these to just check out, review, and then I could either buy them or send them back, right? So I really appreciate Justin and his team over there, Michael, and I don't know the other names, but I really appreciate you guys for helping our channels out by doing this kind of stuff. They support other channels as well. And it's much appreciated because it helps me get knives in hand that I don't, I normally wouldn't maybe because I can't buy everything, right? So big shout out to White Mountain Knives. Go check them out. My code over there is Lefty10. That'll get you 10% off and free shipping in the United States off your order. So that's pretty cool. All right, the Kansept Knives Reverie. Let me get a sip of my peppermint tea here. So this knife is cool. This is actually my favorite Kansept knife to date. I normally do not enjoy Kansepts or the company, really. I talk a lot of shit on them. But this knife is probably their best work. And if this had been the blue fat carbon with the stonewash blade one, I would own it right now. I just don't like coated blades, even though I do like a black wash if I have to have a coated blade. I just would rather have that version of it. So I'm not keeping this one, but at the same time, it's still an awesome knife. So aesthetically, it's gorgeous. I mean, Justin Lundquist is the designer here. You can see his logo right there. And Kansept over here. This one's an S35 VN, I'm pretty positive. Sorry that it's S35. Yep, S35 VN. There we go. This material-wise, you got G10, titanium bolsters, and I guess you call it a subframe lock. No, it's a bolster lock, sorry. Titanium bolster lock, and then S35 with the black wash blade. So, cool materials. I think they started around 150, and they went up to like 280 with that fat carbon version. So, Whew. Yeah, aesthetically, I think it looks awesome. I'm not a big fan of G10 and coated blades, obviously, but let's pretend this is the fat carbon and stonewash or something else. You can have a variety. They have different options, which is cool. I love the design of this bolster thing. It kind of gives me sort of cyberpunk vibes, kind of got some robot shit going on there. I just think it looks good. It also kind of reminds me of the baby Barlow that he's doing with Urban EDC Supply. Go check out that pre-order at urbanedcsupply.com. There's actually an affiliate link down in the description if you guys want to check that out. Which reminds me, hey, if you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. If you're not, hit the like button, notification bell as well. I post 2 videos a day, and the more support I get from you guys, the more likely it is I'm going to keep cranking out the content. So totally worth a sub if you're into the videos, and I truly appreciate that. I also have links to Patreon, and there's a membership thing down here somewhere if you're on Android, I believe, if you want to support the channel. I also have a video about supporting the channel that I recently posted called Knife Rambles, How to Support the Channel. All right, spiel over there. I just think it looks gorgeous. I love this blade shape. I think it's a sexy sort of drop point. And it does have a sort of curve to the knife, which is normally not my thing, but it's very subtle. So I'm okay with it. The clip is okay. I don't understand why anybody in their right mind ever designs a pointy clip. I just don't see the point aesthetically, definitely not ergonomically, why you would want a pointy clip. You know, it's just weird to me. So there's that. But it's definitely a damn good looking knife. Closed, just as good looking. Almost tucks all the way into the handle, the blade that is. You have this jimping up here, sort of Pena-esque style. But I think they did it better on this one. Yeah, I think they did it better. You're dead nut centered, by the way. That's aesthetics. Ergos, man, this is why this is my favorite Kansept. And it's probably it's my favorite Lundquist design as well, I think, along with that baby Barlow. It's actually big enough for me to get a grip on. Like, his knives are always so damn tiny. This fits my large glove size hand. Like, I can get all 4 on there, and I'm nice and tight to the blade, and I can go for it. Like, it's just, I just love the ergonomics on this thing. Now, as a lefty, that little point right there, occasionally I'll get a finger in there and it'll hurt, and I'll just have to move the finger or whatever. So that's obviously not ideal, but you can kind of work around that. Right-handed, yeah, I don't feel that point at all. So it's not really an issue right-handed, the point there. So ergos are fantastic. You really just have the one grip, which is fine, and it feels good. Carry, I had no issues with. Again, not a fan of the pointy clip because I got to grab it in some cases. I got to, you know, put it in my hand. I got to, whatever. I just don't want a pointy goddamn clip. But the clip works great. Functionally, I had no issue with it. Went in pocket, came out of pocket. It's lightweight, it's thin, it tucks away. I mean, I was comparing it to my Raptor earlier because I did the review on that, and I was saying it kind of carries similar. I mean, the Cormorant, they're all sort of that thin style knife, and they're all going to carry pretty damn well, by the way. Also, if you haven't seen this review, go check it out. This is one of my favorite knives I've reviewed in the last few months. I love this thing. That's the Brian Brown Knives Raptor, by the way. Okay, so carry. Cutting. I didn't do a ton with it because, again, it's a loaner from White Mountain Knives. I wasn't sure I was going to buy it. Well, I was pretty sure because it was black wash. Not my favorite. Sort of has a crown spine. It does have a crown spine. I thought I just cut myself. And there's some jimping. Again, ergonomics, really good. So cutting, I felt, was really good on this. I can do a pinch grip and climb up here. It's a little long for that for me, but it works, and I can get to my labels. The one thing I don't love about a drop point, trailing point, anything where the tip is up higher, and no, it's not just that I have to reach up like this, is the precision on my cuts is tougher. So, like, for example, and I don't want to cut through, man, how can I do this? Let me use a box I need to unbox. So, yes, I have to get up here to get the leverage to get a good cut into that paper, right? Whereas if I just do this, I'm not going to cut through. You know what I mean? I need that tip to penetrate to get me the cut, right? So, 1, I'm up here. 2, I have to cut around a shipping label square, right? So I go like this, and then I turn, and then I cut like this, and then I turn, and I cut like this, and then I turn, and then I cut like this, right? To cut out my shipping label, right? Well, does that look like a perfect square? No. And part of that's me, but the other part is I don't get as much precision with that tip. It kind of wants to shimmy around a little bit, if that makes sense. Whereas, if I take out my Kvist Blade Works variant that I'm carrying today, fucking epic knife, guys. Holy shit. When I climb up onto this tip, I just have a more precise control because of the tip being down like that. So I can cut a straight line much easier in this case. I'm trying to see where I cut. I mean, that's a hell of a lot more of a rectangle than this one. And I didn't have guidelines for either of these. Normally I have the label that I'm cutting, and I'll cut, and I can actually keep that straight the whole way down the black line of the label. Whereas on a knife like this, I end up going like sort of jig-jagged, and sometimes I accidentally like cut shit I don't mean to and whatever. Guys, oh my God. Ugh. It's so good. I do wish I had a clip, though. That would be awesome. Let's see if I can get it back in my clip slip. That's one thing, too. I like the clip slip, but it's not my favorite thing. So anyway, I hope that demonstration made some sense. It's just a little harder to get a straight control with your cut like that. Now, if you don't do cutting like that, it doesn't matter. This is just my experience, right? So that's carry and cutting. Sounds. So they're pretty dull on this one. It does thwack out, but nothing on close, really. Damn, that thing's really thundering out. It didn't do that before. Sounds good, though. If I do the top flip. Yeah, hey, what are you going to do? I got good acoustics today. Sounds awesome. So, because of that, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 on the sounds. So, let's talk action, right? That's always my favorite category. I always save it for last. I freaking love it. Now, do I wish it had another deployment method? Yes. But the way it looks and the action it does have and the cutting it has and the carry it has, I'll overlook some things if I had that fat carbon one, obviously. I would overlook that clip, and I would overlook the fact that it doesn't have multiple deployments. Because it sort of does, I can hold it like this, and as a lefty, I have no clip, so I kind of grab the edge of the scale, grab the jimping, and roll it up. And that's how you do the front flip left-handed. Bang it out, you're good to go, right? Kind of Bic lighter, switch it out. And the detent on this is not super strong, but it's good. I mean, it is. I mean, it took some effort to come out, but you almost never miss the flick. And that's where the Peñas, for me, fall short a little bit. They rely so much on this heavy jimping up here on the Peñas. I'm not saying this is heavy on the Peñas. That it works because it's tearing up your finger to get it out. And you might not feel it, but you're leaving skin cells in the jimping on the Peñas. Just the way his jimping is done, I always leave skin cells in there to the point where after a couple weeks of fidgeting, it's literally almost smooth to the touch. And then I have to scrape out my skin to get the jimping back because I need the jimping to be able to get it to flick out. I'll have times where I just go right over the jimping on a Peña because I just it's smooth now because of all that skin in there. It's disgusting. This one, man, you can just grip it right here. Bang. It flies out from the reach around. I mean, that's my favorite way to deploy this knife. Just grab it and do the reach around. Right-handed, left-handed. I mean, being able to do a front flipper like this both-handed for me is pretty impressive. When you're right-handed, I want to mention the clip here. The clip is kind of tight to the scale. So when you grab it, normally right-handed, you would grab the clip for traction and then use the front flipper, right? You would kind of do this. Well, this clip is so dang tight to the scale that sometimes it's awkward. I kind of just do the lefty thing and kind of grab up by the scale and do it. The knife is also a lot bigger than a lot of front flippers like this. So it's a little awkward doing the front flip. So I think it's really meant to come around the back like this. So she said. And you have plenty of space. As a lefty, the lock bar is tucked over here because it's sort of a bolster lock design, which I love. Your thumb can go right here and you're not locking anything up. Right-handed, doesn't matter where you go. You just put your thumb wherever and you're good to go. But you can get it from like anywhere, man. It's just not hard at all to do. So I love the action. Closing, drops to your nail, couple of shakes. I mean, it's not drop guillotine close, but I haven't touched it either. I haven't touched the pivot. It's rock solid. So I'm sure if I messed with it or whatever, I could get it to drop more, but this has been great. Yeah, so overall, I really like this knife. I think this is a fantastic knife from Kansept. They really did a good job. They probably should do something about that pointy clip. And maybe have the clip come off the scale a little more so you can get grip on it as a righty. But other than that, I mean, I really enjoy this knife a lot and I can recommend it. And I think lefties would like it. I mean, the thing with front flippers being left-handed, I used to always say they're tough, right? And it is a learning curve to be able to do this, and it was for me because I used to not be able to do it, but now I can front flip anything left-handed, really. The cool thing about it, obviously you don't get a lefty clip a lot. That's sad. But the cool thing about it is, if you think about it, the lock bar is over here. So as a lefty on a frame lock front flipper, you have nothing to worry about. You're not putting your hands on the frame or anything. Whereas as a righty, if this were a frame lock, you'd be putting pressure right here all over this lock bar right now. And that's why the clip's important as a righty for a front flipper. So it kind of actually is a benefit to be left-handed sometimes on front flippers. But anyway, that's the Kansept knives, Reverie, and the Kaiser Cormorant reviews. White Mountain Knives exclusive, my Carta 3V. They are sold out at the moment. They were $110. These are around $150, I believe. There might be a couple versions available on White Mountain Knives of the Kansept Reverie. Go check White Mountain Knives out. I absolutely love them. WhiteMountainKnives.com. Use my code LEFTY10 at checkout. I love you guys. I really appreciate all your support. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.